what kind of resident would be okay not having a property manager? I'll go first. Dermatology. Dermatology. What they doing? They're not doing nothing. They're not doing anything, right? Oh, hold on a second. I've got to stop writing this prescription for steroid cream to take this freaking phone call. Like, you next.
I'd say orthopedic surgery. They're basically doing carpentry in the goddamn OR.
They can fix, once I finish this leg, I'm going to go and fix this toilet with the same tools that I was fixing this leg with.
Thank you.
Folks, your exciting new medical career, it's just been hit with a serious illness or injury that stops you from earning a paycheck just when you need it most. Check out what Jamie Fleischner of Set for Life Insurance said back on episode 176 about having disability insurance early in your career.
The real reason to get it early on is really twofold. One is to protect your insurability. So if you are healthy and you can obtain the coverage, you also pre-approve yourself to be able to buy more in the future. So down the road, as your income does increase, you don't have to answer additional medical questions. All you have to do is show that your income is increased and you can buy more benefits at that time. No medical questions asked.
Protect your income, secure your future. Check out setforlifeinsurance.com.
All right, we are back with another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nee, joined by the habitual line stepper, also known as my lovely wife, the amazing OB-GYN, locum tenens, pre-med strategist, semi-okay co-host, Dr. Renee.
Jazz hands.
Hey. Yo, what's good, everyone? Listen, it's been a minute. We've been gone for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because life has just been lifing. That's it. That's the best way I can explain it, guys.
I look tired.
We've been consistent for well over close to 8 years now doing this podcast. So I think if like 2 weeks we didn't come together with something, y'all forgive us, right?
Forgiving.
Yeah,
I think
right.
I think we have a forgiving audience.
Listen, let us know if you're a forgiving audience. Text
Or
us
if you're
at
like, nah, man, where you been? I was waiting for you, man.
if you either way, whichever feeling you feel, text us at 833-230-2860. We've been getting some really good comments, some really good leads through the text messaging. We check them all. It comes to our phones. Make sure you let us know. And then also, I want to shout out everyone who's discovering us, checking us out on YouTube. We really appreciate that. We had a lot of people tune into Dr. Travell's episode that we did at the SNMA conference, as well as some of the video of the interviews that I did with different different medical students and future residents at the conference. You guys should check that out on YouTube. And I'm really happy with how we're doing on YouTube. We're over 1,200 subscribers right now. And
we chugging along.
Unless you're Shannon Sharp or, you are some famous dude who's starting
Cat Williams
who's starting a
being interviewed
podcast.
by Shannon Sharp.
Steve got a sitcom, and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. Oh, hell no!
It's super hard to really quickly get subscribers, but we chugging along and we get there. And then for everybody who's been listening to us on podcasts, we appreciate y'all. Listen, if you're listening to us right now on Apple Podcasts, make sure you click the subscribe button, or I think it's called the follow button, so that we know, or so that you know every time an episode goes out, either a bell will go off or the episode will get downloaded to your phone.
A notification, baby. You can just say notification.
Yeah, notification, whatever it may be.
There you go.
And if you're on Android, Spotify, I don't know what is going on.
Shout out to everybody who's been commenting on our videos on IG.
Yes. Yeah.
Because let me tell you,
we changing things up a little bit.
I really, when you called me at work and we had that little dance off, I won.
Hey, Alfred, can you put in real quick?
Roll the reel.
Just put it right here and just show that video.
Roll the reel, Alfred, because I be
Yeah, you did. You beat me at that.
Yeah,
and it's fine. And that's okay, guys. I have no problems with that. You're a better dancer than me. That's fine. And it's good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all good.
That's good. Like, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm very secure.
You're secure?
I'm very secure.
You have no choice but to be, because there was no way. There was a couple of people, like 2 people who were like, oh, I'm going to go with Dr. Nee. I'm like, how much? Like, $20 go a long way.
That was my burner account, guys. That was my burner account.
Yeah, $20 go a long way. You probably paid them $20 each to vote for you. I'm like, really?
Hold on, but let's transition to something that can test how secure you feel about certain things.
What?
And that's the topic of this episode, actually, which is, how is it that 2 folks in their mid to late 40s are still renting their primary residence and don't own a home? Let's jump into this, because I think a lot of folks are very interested as to why, particularly a 2-physician household, right? A 2-physician household, no debt. Why the hell do y'all still rent?
Yes, because technically owning a home is the American dream, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The American dream.
So there's a lot of ways that we can go with this. I think that for the sake of this podcast, listen, we're not going to give you straight numbers for this, because I think you can go anywhere to get the numbers. I think that what you tune into Docs Outside the Box is for like that visceral, raw, what 2 docs go through and how we feel about purchasing a home, or how we purchase, or excuse me, the mindset of why we decide to make certain type of financial decisions. All of the stuff that goes into spreadsheets and all those different things, you can go to other people for that. And as a matter of fact, I have a video that you can go to. We're going to put in the show notes. It's Ramit Sethi's video. That's going to be in there. He talks about why, as a multimillionaire, he actually still rents at this point right now. It's actually a pretty good video. A whole bunch of different financial gurus got a chance to take a look at it and review it and so forth. I looked at it. It makes sense. There's some things that I'm kind of like, I don't agree with everything, but overall, it makes sense. So I figured that before we, get into the meat and potatoes, we kind of start off with some stats, or at least some things that we do that, just give people a little bit of a background of kind of how we live, so that people can kind of understand like why we move and
the way we move,
basically.
Did you ever think, so wait, before we start that, when you were like, let's say in med school or before med school, did you ever think that you would own your own home? And at one point you actually did own your own home.
That's part of what I'm going to be talking about. Yeah.
So what was your thought process?
House, man.
What was your thought process about when you were this age?
What age? I'm 45 right now.
Yeah. What was your thought process about owning a home back in the day?
Like in med school?
Yeah, if you were like...
mad traditional. Like, come on, like, right? Like, married, kids, house, somewhere in either New York or New Jersey, and just working. That's it. That's all I thought about. Or excuse me, that's not all I thought, but that is the thought in my mind, which was a very traditional, the American dream, and making it work. I had no idea. Like, this is completely almost as close to 180 degree.
This is 180 degree.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting to live like this. How about you? Like when you were...
I mean, most definitely. I definitely thought I'd be living, in a house that was owned, by me and my husband, 2.5 kids, and like the American dream. And so for me, I think knowing now, what I didn't know then, made that quote unquote transition in my mind a little bit easier, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
It made it a little bit easier for me to be like, okay, I'm not necessarily going to have, the home that I thought that I would have.
So folks, we live in a neighborhood where the home prices average around like $650,000 to like $750,000. Like for me, that's still a big deal to me because
no, you cheap though. So.
I'm cheap, and these houses are not $650,000 to $700,000 houses. So just for the caveat, y'all,
according to Zillow, they are.
Yeah, they are. But as everybody knows, like everything got skewed during COVID and after COVID. And we live in a neighborhood, in my opinion, where these are a bunch of $200,000, $300,000 houses.
It may be
and
in
because of
1998.
COVID, the prices are jacked up to wherever they are right now. And it just bothers me that like you got to pay these prices to be in these houses that like you got to go in and you're going to have to fix the basement. You're going to have to fix the water heater. You're going to have to fix like
You
these are not,
got to fix the water heater.
but these houses are jacked. These are just regular houses, and they're like at these prices. I don't like that. Anyway, the school district is good, right? Why are you giving that? Like, what's the rating it gets?
No. The rating.
I mean, the way how you feel about how I feel about the houses being $600,000 to $700,000, and I don't feel like that's the actual value. Is that the same way you feel about the school district? Because the school district, if you go on the website, it's saying it's an A, right?
Ours is a. Well, the school specifically is an A-, but the school district is an A. Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go into further? Then?
I mean,
you know, some of the parents they be watching this show, yo.
Well, so I am from the Catholic school system, so this is technically my second encounter with the public school system. My first encounter with the public school system was that I was a teacher in it. But this is my second encounter with the public school system. Now having my child actually go through it. And now that I'm on the receiving end of the public school system, I got some questions.
You think it's kind of lax? That's what it is.
Yeah. Coming from the Catholic school system, like in the home, inside the home, we are the Catholic school system. But then I send
without the religion, guys.
Then I send my kid to the public school system, and let's just say it's a little bit different expectation.
Diversity is meh, right? That's the best I can say. Yeah. Diversity is meh, and it's a typical New Jersey suburban neighborhood. Yeah. That's as
It's a very nice neighborhood.
And property taxes are kind of high, right? Like we don't live in Essex County, but if anybody who's familiar with the Northeast knows about New Jersey and Essex County and Bergen County, y'all know that the property taxes are crazy. This ain't Maplewood, this ain't Millburn. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't live anywhere in the Northeast, just type in Essex County property taxes. You know what I'm talking about. Big selling points to living in this neighborhood. Good school district, rental costs aren't bad, and it's close to my parents, right? Which is very important. Close to my parents and my family, which is New Jersey based, and actually not too far from Long Island, where your family is.
Yeah, definitely good travel distance.
Yeah, so accessible to New York in New York City. And as of this date right now, renting is about 15% of our net income.
Right.
Which ain't bad.
Which is not bad at all.
And don't forget, y'all, we are not W-2 employees. We work as locum tenens. So we get a certain amount of income from what we work from the independent contracting. And then we have an S corporation, and then that S corporation pays us a salary. And then from that, we have a reasonable salary. And then from that, that's how we get paid. Yeah. From that, it's 15% of our net income. And we go from there.
Yeah.
So let's jump into it. Their American dream. So, your boy had a home from 2006 to 2019. Is that when I had it?
No.
When did I get rid of it?
No, Nee. You got rid of it before we moved from Pennsylvania. It wasn't 2019, was it?
Yeah, it was like 2008. Anyway, I had a house for well over 10 years. I bought the house right before 2008, and I didn't have any money down. I didn't have anything for collateral. And this is when anybody, particularly in Atlanta and Georgia, could get any type of house. So I bought myself it was a condo townhome, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. It was nice, spacious. And I'm not going to front. Owning this house was amazing. I could make the payments, right? I forgot how much I got paid as a resident, but it was less than $50,000. I had no problems making the payments. But what I noticed on a yearly basis is that my HOA fees started creeping up and eating more into my income. And then overall, by the time second year came, I still only had a couch, a dining room table.
And a bed.
And a bunch of Popeyes. And Pepsi and butter in the refrigerator. In essence, I was house poor. I just didn't know it, and I didn't have the wording
jargon,
to say it, but I was housebound because I didn't have money to buy furniture. First, I didn't even have time to buy the furniture.
Well, I mean, you surgery resident.
Yeah, I didn't have time to get it.
So,
but it wasn't I liked the privacy of having my own place.
Yeah.
I liked having my parents know that I had a house, but they damn sure didn't know the financials of went into that. I wouldn't let them know about any of that stuff. And then, 2008 comes, 2009 comes, and you're seeing everybody with either for sale signs or possibly even foreclosure signs in front of your house. And I just see the dwindling value of my house in comparison to their houses. It's just like, I spent $170 on my place, and I think at one point there were several houses across the street that were going for like $49,000. I was like, hey, what?
Yep.
But
that's when it makes sense to be nosy, the nosy neighbor. Like, so how much you selling your house for?
And I bought this house not even thinking that I'm going to leave for residency.
Right.
Like residency is going to be done. Like I knew, and even at this point in residency, I knew that I wanted to get back to New York. But when 2011 comes and I'm like, I'm going to do fellowship or possibly may just go back home. Either way, I'm not going to be in Atlanta. What am I going to do with this house?
So you never thought,
nope,
I'll buy the house and then I'll sell it?
No. Oh, yes. But I didn't think I was going to be selling it that quick. I just didn't think about it because everybody was getting a house. This is one of the worst decisions I ever made in my life because I didn't use I didn't run any numbers. This is purely emotional. This is purely keeping up with the Joneses. And we recovered from it, but it just wasn't a smart decision. And, fellowship came. I was in Miami and I got the place rented. And then the tenants decided
you got the place destroyed?
So my place got turned into
you can call it rented, but it was destroyed.
Basically got turned into a bar. And we can get into another episode, but basically tenants from hell. And it cost me about $4,000 to $5,000 to get that place fixed up. But while in Miami, I was using credit cards to make the mortgage payments because they weren't paying rent.
Yes, you were.
It was bad. And then afterwards, about 2 years later, we ended up getting some good tenants and ended up turning out good. So several years later, we ended up refinancing, right? And we got a good value on it, but it was never the same. Let's leave it to you like that. It was never the same. So I became an accidental landlord, and we just, we had some okay tenants. Let's just say it wasn't a lucrative rental, right? Like it didn't put money in our pockets. It was just, I sold it for $140,000.
Could you pay this mortgage?
I sold it for $140,000.
Right.
We bought it for $170. Well, I bought it for $170 because it's mine. It's mine.
What's yours?
Bought it for $170,000.
You can have your little, financial dump. You can
money
have
pit.
It.
And I sold it for $140,000. And that was it. And for a while, I had a really bad taste with buying a house. And to some extent, like that stayed for a while, that stayed for a while. So that's my experience with owning a home. Am I completely against getting a house? No. But I think through these next set of questions, I think, you guys will get a better sense of how we think about it. I think if you are a resident, I think if you're a medical student, you don't know the town, you've never been to this place before. I think the most important thing is to just rent your first year. And maybe even rent your second year. You know what? Just rent your entire residency. If you don't know the neighborhood very well, if you don't see yourself kind of moving on past that. If you're going to own and maybe you have some financial means, maybe just consider doing like a duplex. Where you live in one portion of the house and then somebody else lives in another apartment in the house, and a portion or a significant portion of their rent is paying for the overall mortgage. Right. I think that situation, if you're smart about it, if you're on top of the numbers, if you're a good landlord, you know what I'm saying? Like you can make some really smart decisions.
Remember though that being a resident and being a landlord, depending on your residency, can be very challenging. It can be very challenging because when the water heater breaks or electricity, something's going on with that, there's a leak, You sitting there in the OR retracting, and there's an emergency. You need to think twice about whether or not you want to be the actual person, the point of contact. So it still might be worth it if you're going to do that to get a property manager, because, yeah, you can't be in the OR talking about Buzz here, hold on. I got to pick up my phone. What you said?
The toilet's not flushing.
The toilet's not flushing. Wait, what? There's a leak? Wait, what? There's a flood? Like,
yeah. And a property manager, if you don't know what it is, a property manager is you pay someone to manage your property. Basically, they collect the rents and they make sure if there's any maintenance issues going on, they take care of that. And let's say you have a vacancy, they help advertise, market your place to make sure that it can get rented. And usually the average is what, like 10% of the rent?
About 10%.
10% of the rent that they collect.
8 to 10%.
Yeah, 8 to 10% of the rent.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
So wait, hold on. Let's talk about real quick. What kind of resident would be okay not having a property manager?
What do you mean?
Dermatology. I'll go first. Dermatology. What they doing? They're not doing nothing. They're not doing anything, right? Oh, hold on a second. I've got to stop writing this prescription for steroid cream to take this freaking phone call. Like,
just because we have a great schedule and we have these beautiful faces, people don't take us seriously. I mean, I can look at a spot on your skin, like that thing you have on your cheek, and diagnose some rare disease that no one would be able to diagnose. Wait, what? I just want to be appreciated. Wait, just back up a second.
Dermatology. Go. You next.
Who would be good to manage their own property?
Yeah. Come on, man.
I'd say orthopedic surgery.
Orthopedics? Nah, they're in the OR, though.
Yeah, but they know how to do all this shit. They're basically doing carpentry in the goddamn OR.
They can fix,
all the
Once
issues.
I finish this leg, I'm going to go and fix this toilet with the same tools that I was fixing this leg with.
Thank you.
This is true.
So move
Kill
on.
2 birds with 1 stone. Who else?
You go back.
Who else? Radiology. What are they doing?
Why do you have like 5 different screens? I know why. Because one of the motherfucking screens, you got your goddamn day trading going on, and you also managing properties.
Exactly.
And you watching the show, ain't you?
They're
You subscribe to Docs Outside the Box,
They're
ain't you?
actually looking.
Yes,
They got
you
like
are.
the freaking
I love
link.
it. I love it. You're listening to Docs Outside the Box, you radiologist.
They got cameras in
Clinically
there.
correlate this show, mother effer, please. Got the nerve to be all upset and everything they say is clinically correlate. Shut up.
Basically. Yeah, so radiology.
One more.
They're not doing
more.
anything. You're next.
I'm next?
Yeah, you're next. I said radiology.
OB.
Stop playing. Don't. You wish.
You know them OBs, all they do is just like, wait, I mean, what? How much? All you do is just deliver. That's it, right?
Okay.
You know, laparoscopy here and there, and then you call surgery for backup.
Whatever. You
And then
wish.
y'all disappear out
Name
the OR.
somebody for real. Stop playing. Opto.
Ophthalmologist. Yeah, I was about to say. And all of them are like, yeah, that's why we make way more money than y'all.
It is. But y'all make way more money because you're probably making some of that money from all them freaking rentals y'all got.
No matter where you are in your career, you've seen patients your age or younger get seriously injured, have a long-term illness, or even have a mental health issue that affects their ability to work. Now, what if that was you? No, for real, what if that was you? Without disability insurance, how are you going to replace your paycheck? In episode 176, Jamie Fleischner of Set for Life Insurance explains why the best time to buy disability insurance is during your residency.
Most physicians acquire their disability policies during residency, and there's several reasons. First of all, when you're younger, you're able to obtain the insurance because they ask you a whole host of medical history. And so you usually don't get healthier over time. Usually you get less healthy over time. So when you're healthy, it's easier to acquire the coverage. Number 2, it's also less expensive because it's based on your age and your health. You're not getting younger or healthier over time. So you're at the ideal time. The earlier you get it and the younger you are, the less expensive it's going to be.
So whether you're a resident or you're an attending, it's never too late to protect your income. Renee and I, we use Set for Life Insurance to find a disability policy that fit our needs and budget. So what are you waiting for? Check out setforlifeinsurance.com. Once again, that's setforlifeinsurance.com.
Is success measured by getting your own home? Do you consider that a form of success?
I don't anymore.
When did that change?
I would say that probably changed in 2008 when I saw what the hell happened with your house. I was like,
We weren't even talking back then.
Yes, we were. Like, stop playing. Anyway.
We definitely wasn't talking about my financials.
No, but we were talking about the fact that the house across the street sold or was selling
houses.
for houses were selling for $50,000, and I knew how much you had bought your house for.
I told you that?
Of course you did. You don't remember? Actually, back in the day, you don't remember? I actually tried to buy a condo in New Jersey. You don't remember?
Yeah, I remember.
I tried to buy a condo in New Jersey, and I don't remember exactly.
It was like $150, and now you're like, damn. But it was an apartment, though.
Yeah.
It's not like
It
a
was a
regular condo.
condo,
This is
right.
an apartment.
Well,
We should
but
stop.
I mean,
You should stop
technically-
saying a condo and just say it's an apartment.
Listen,
That's what it is.
nowadays condo
'Cause people-
means just about anything.
Because people be fronting and be like, oh, yeah, I got a condo.
No,
and you
we're
think it's
not
nah.
talking- no.
This was an apartment. Like
Listen,
7J.
Listen,
Right?
listen. Nowadays, condo means just about anything. Back in 1980s, condo was like, ooh, like it was like luxury. Now, a condo is like a regular apartment.
Yo, this is a regular apartment.
It was a regular apartment.
So when did you stop? So 2008 is when you were like,
Yeah, 2008. I was like, ooh, that's kind of messed up because you don't remember we used to go around the neighborhood right before 2008. You used to take me around the neighborhood. You took me to see all these houses in Atlanta, and they were like dirt cheap. And I was like, dag man, you could get this nice craftsman style 4-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom house for this much, and then all of a sudden, everything just dipped down in 2008, and I was like, ooh. That does not sound like the American dream.
Yeah, I think for me, definitely was when by the time we got married, we put our finances together, we realized how much student loan debt. I was like,
Yeah.
we don't have time to buy a house right now.
Yeah.
And where we ended up working was a place that I was like, I don't want to stay here.
Right.
Right. And I think that's going to be the recurring theme for me is like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I have commitment
Commitment
issues
issues.
with like where I live.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm not like in love with the place,
Yeah, I'm not going to buy. Yeah. No, I agree.
I just, I don't know,
I
man.
agree.
You know, like
people were asking us, like, "Oh, you guys gonna get a house?" I'm like, "We got a house. It's called student loan debt.
Yeah,
$662,000.
I can't do it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So those first several years of us trying to figure out how we're gonna pay off our debt, as well as like, is this really a place that we want to stay like more
Yeah.
than 10 years?
No.
Yeah, no. So I think for us, or at least for me, like my gauge of success kind of changed. And so you mentioned what people would say to you, like. So was there any point where you cared about what other people thought about the fact that you were like renting?
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
What about your parents? Did your parents ask you like, are you renting?
No. My parents never asked that question. They never asked. I mean, I don't think that my parents necessarily equated success with buying a house. If they ever asked me, if they ever asked me, so I can't say that I remember that they did or didn't. What I will say is that if they ever asked me, it was more to gauge where I was going to live, where I was going to just put down, those roots. So are you going to stay in Altoona, for example?
Yeah. Like I have a colleague right now whose daughter, he kind of gets on his daughter all the time because he says that she's wasting money all the time and she's paying her owner's or her
Mortgage.
landlord's mortgage. So like he's trying to like push her into getting a home and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's, in his early 60s, possibly even mid 60s right now. And he's pushing her to do that. I've never got that type of pushback from my parents.
Right.
But also at that time, while we were just getting married, like we still owned that house in Atlanta.
Yes, we did.
So they were just like, we don't know what you're doing with it, but we know you own a house somewhere. But
yeah.
do I care what others think about renting?
Do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But even at this point right now, do you care?
Man, who are you talking to?
I'm talking to Renee, my wife, the habitual line stepper.
So you know that in order, like, for me to care what people think is like way far away from my personality. It's almost sociopathic.
Like Chris Rock type, because he has an issue with like understanding when he's
I didn't
like crossed the line. Because you are a habitual line stepper.
Anyway, I didn't say I don't understand social cues. What I said was, I don't really care what people say. Listen, If you are not the one supplying the money in my pocket, the food in my mouth, the clothes on my back, the roof over my head, why do I even care what you have to say? For what reason?
Yeah.
For social pressure? Like, oh, let me get this house. Otherwise, people gonna say what? She got a house? They're not even thinking about me.
Yeah, I think the bad taste in my mouth from the previous owning experience, throw that in with like the realities of getting married, putting in a whole bunch of debt, then also the realities of realizing like, hey, my career, like a lot of that is dependent on other people, depending on like how much power I give them, and a lot of that has to do with financial.
Right.
I think that just changed everything for me.
Yeah.
And I really stopped caring about keeping up with the Joneses. And I just was like, yo, like this is just going to be my life. And some of the things that became really important to me was, if I'm going to practice, I would love to practice in neighborhoods that really need my help. So rural neighborhoods, suburban neighborhoods, practicing in Ghana, that type of experience is really important to me. Getting out of debt, obviously, like helping those who are doing things that are really passionate to me. Podcasting, right?
Yeah.
Raising a family, teaching like really smart financial tips to my kids, as well as to the rest of my family. Those are really important things. And kind of where I set up roots, really, even to this till now, has kind of fallen. It's in the back burner right now.
It's on the back burner. It's somewhere.
Yeah, because I think
somewhere back there.
Because I think right now it's just like, well, like, yeah, I mean, like if anybody who lives with us or anybody who knows us, like, I like this neighborhood. I don't know if I love it. And I think, after doing a lot of the numbers, doing research, like for me, I can't see myself purchasing a home and knowing that we're probably going to leave in less than 10 years.
Right.
For me, like that 10-year number is just like that number. Like if we can see ourselves getting past that number, if we can see our kids in this neighborhood at the age of 17, going to their proms and all those different things, I don't know if I can really see that here.
And that's
not, it's not like an indictment on this neighborhood. It's just like, I just don't know. At this point right now, where we stay, I don't know if I want to stay for 10 years.
I think part of it also is that you and I really like being mobile.
Okay. So, yes. So what does that mean?
So I think we like knowing that we have the flexibility of getting up and just going anywhere we want at any particular point in time. And we want to be able to make that decision without being hamstrung by whether or not we could sell our house for a good price.
Okay, so over the last, 3 to 4 years, like that, or to be honest with you, since we've gotten married to now, that's close to 10 years.
Yeah.
That we've basically...
we've been married 10 years.
We've been married for 10 years. We've rented for 10 years.
Yes.
There's never been a situation where we had to pick up and just get the hell out of there.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. I think we just are in love with that notion. Okay.
So what I want to ask you is there a cost to being less flexible? Or,
less flexible meaning what?
So if less flexible means that you own a home, right? The way how we look at it, right?
Right.
But what about the opposite? Is there a cost to being very flexible, right? Because I'm not going to front, guys. If you look at our house, if you look at the decorations and all that stuff.
What decorations?
Exactly. It's very bare. You know what I'm saying? It is very bare in our house. There's a couple of pictures up, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that we feel like it's not our house.
Yeah.
So I think as much as we really like being flexible, as much as we always feel like, hey, we can kind of move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Is there that cost of not having like the homeliness feel of the house? Now we can do that, right?
Of course.
There's time to do that.
Listen, there's plenty
but
of
I do
people
think that there's
rent.
a reason why we don't put a nail in the wall, because we don't want that shit to break, and I want my fucking security deposit back. Right?
I think you're absolutely
Am I lying?
right. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think that there are some people who that's actually what gets them in trouble when they rent, is that they're like, this is mine and I'm going to treat it like it's mine. So I'm going to paint the walls red. I'm going to, do all these things.
I'm going to drill a hole that goes from one floor to another floor.
Next, and run my cable through it.
And then I'm going to change the garage into a damn freaking bar. But I'm not triggered. Let's move on.
Right. So I think that does get people in trouble. That's some
bullshit though, yeah.
But I will tell you, as someone who grew up, who lived in a place where her parents were the landlord, that I understand the implications of messing up a rental property, right? And that to me is, that's always in the forefront of my mind, right? Because for me, I'm like, I'll treat the property as if it is mine to a certain extent, meaning I'm not going to destroy some other person's property because, well, this ain't my house anyway.
Well, that's you. But
right?
There's a lot of people who don't feel
right.
that
There's
way.
a lot of people that don't
there's a
feel
lot
that
of people
way.
that they
right?
will
They'll be
fuck
like,
your
well, it's
shit
not
up.
my house. Right. So they go and they just essentially destroy your property.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Who
how
takes
someone could do that.
doorknobs when it's time to leave a property? Who takes doorknobs?
Who lets their dog
off?
pee all over their carpet?
Yeah, I just
Disgusting. I don't even know how those people lived in your house like that. I'm like, those are pigs.
I would say definitely pigs.
Pigs.
I would say, I think there's a fear that we have. There's like this visual thing that we have, like, yo, if I purchase this house, then I won't be able to do A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, everybody, it's not like we don't own a home, right?
Yeah, we
actually own a rental property,
Yes.
Which is a 6-unit property that we talked about this several, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We talked about that, and as a matter of fact, we need to revisit that conversation, right?
Yes, because there's a lot on the back burner for that.
Yeah, we have a multifamily property in Pennsylvania. We're currently getting it rented, and it's been a very interesting experience that we're going to talk about. But we own that, right? So that's a property that is an investment property, right? Then we also just purchased the apartment in Ghana, right? Because I just want to let y'all know, I want to do a sabbatical eventually where we go to Ghana. I spend either a year or 2 years, and we either practice or we don't practice, but we are there immersed and we are living in Ghana. And at that point, like, I just didn't want to rely on family for that long. So I wanted to get my own place. And then we did the numbers and we looked and we realized that, hey, this is possibly a place that we can make actually an investment property also.
As well, right.
So that's kind of how we're looking at it. So it's not just we're just renting and that's it.
Right. Yeah, there's more to it's more to the story, right? So the question of, are you pouring into someone else's pocket, right, when you are renting? The answer is maybe, yeah. That's definitely one way that you can look at it. But another way that you can look at it is that I'm not responsible for the expenses of the place in which I live. And if I'm not responsible for those expenses, perhaps that will allow me to be able to save, to be able to purchase investment properties.
So there's the New York Times has this calculator that's really good, right? They made it like in 2014, but it's still, all you have to do is like, you change one number here, you change a couple of numbers there. It's a calculator, and it provides basically the answer of should you rent and should you buy specifically in your neighborhood. When you put all of that information for us, specifically like the average cost of houses, the percentage rate right now for mortgages, and then, all of these different things, like if you wanted to rent, past 5 years or whatever, 4 to 5 years. And then there's just a lot of costs that go along with owning a home that are basically called like phantom costs.
Did you put us in there? Did you put our stuff in there?
Yeah. So basically it said that for where we live, we should rent if we can get a rental, basically if our rent per month is $3,400 or less, which we're way under.
Yeah, we're way under.
Right?
Yeah.
We're way under that. So that made me feel good. But also let me know like how expensive this neighborhood is.
Right.
But the phantom cost of owning a home, like the maintenance costs, property taxes, that's why I mentioned these things first.
School taxes. Is different than, Yeah,
there's a lot of things that you got to worry about sometimes that you don't think about that, affect not just the purchase price of the home. And then if you're thinking about it as an investment, like I think we all in general now are starting to think differently about a house. Like as it being like this big, large investment property or just an investment in general to now more of like, yo, this is just a purchase basically.
Right.
And I think the thing that I looked at the Ramit Sethi's video and I agree with, he's going to get a house, but he knows that getting the house is a bad investment. but he's just getting the house because he knows that this is what he wants to do. He
Right.
wants to set up roots in his neighborhood. And that's the way I look at it. Like, if we're going to get a house,
Right.
I know that I'm not getting it for an investment. I'm getting it because I'm like, look, all right, the kids, they need a fucking...
Well, no. But so I get that, looking at a house as an investment, that's pretty much what we've always been taught, right? Like, so even if you get your American dream house, the first thing that they say is, oh, that's a really good investment. It's a really good investment. But the question is, exactly what are you investing? Is investing only about money, right? Because there's also a value. There's also a value in living, right? And that's kind of what you were talking about earlier of, maybe that's why we haven't fully decorated our house the way that we would have, because that value of living, it hasn't quite peaked for us. Whereas if we were living in our own house and we were able to decorate it, do whatever we want, remodel it, make it look exactly the way that we want, there is a value in living in the house and having a comfort of living in that house in a certain way. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, then you won't want to leave.
Right. Then you won't want to leave. But you have the comfort of a home knowing I own this. I could do whatever I want to it. I could destroy it if I wanted to. I could live in it however I want to. I could deck it out if I wanted to. Nobody can tell me anything about this house.
I think that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily love a neighborhood, because I'm always 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yes. But
This is therapy, y'all. This is therapy. Holy shit. Breakthroughs.
There have been neighborhoods where you have said, I could live here.
Like where?
In Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It's Atlanta.
I know, but there have been certain neighborhoods in Atlanta where you've said that.
With a waffle, and there was a nice Waffle House there.
Oh, Jesus.
They get it smothered and covered, sliced and diced. If you live in Atlanta, or if you're from Atlanta, or if you've been to a Waffle House, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That Waffle House culture, hey, come on, yo.
Good food, a nice fight.
What?
Some twerking.
What?
It's all good.
Hey.
Music playing.
Yes.
So there's only one neighborhood in New Jersey that you've said you absolutely would live in.
It's too expensive to live there.
Right.
Expensive
well, no, I should say two neighborhoods. But they're right. They're adjacent.
I'm too expensive to live
each other.
Hell no.
But you said, in terms of comfort level, I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's like living in Brooklyn.
Value of living.
It's like living in Brooklyn.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about value of living that you would say.
Are we on the same page with a house?
What page are you on?
I would like to get a home soon. I'd like to just settle roots eventually.
So no.
After sabbatical. So no, I don't want to get a house yet.
You're right.
I don't want to get a How about you?
You're talking about like 5 years
Yes.
from now.
Yeah. I think when I'm 50. Which for you is 2 months. We got ARP over here.
Anywho,
Can't wait to go to IHOP with you, yo. Listen. Let me get
Really,
that.
Nate?
Let me get that. What do you call that? The All-Star Slam, or is that from Waffle House? Yeah, let me get the ARP discount on sis right here, yo. Come on.
whatever, Nee. Anywho.
There's perks. But once you hit 50, we can start doing catch-up rates on our IRAs. It's your old ass. Go ahead, move on.
Anyway, Nee. So, as I was saying.
Still love you though, babe.
I know you do.
Still love you.
As I was saying, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I would like to have a place that I could come in and just have that value of living, right? Have that value of, being comfortable to be able to do whatever I want to the place, and it looking exactly the way that I would want it to look. So,
But do you have to own a home to do that?
I have a mental block because my parents owned a home and rented to other people, and I saw the things that
they sell commando strips.
I know that.
So you could
I know that. But I'm talking about renovation.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? Like I'm talking about renovation.
Yeah.
And I saw what other people did, in my parents' home. And not all the tenants. Most of their tenants were really good. But there were some tenants that were like, yo, like, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Right?
Let me move the stove to this part.
Yeah, it's like what's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? So I have literally a mental block. Like, even neutral colors that I would like to put in our home that we live in right now, even that kind of gives me a little, like, angst of, but, is the landlord going to like it? Are they going to take our security deposit? Is that, things like that, right? Like, is it going to impact me financially, right? Because if they don't like it, then that's a financial ding on us.
Yeah, I'll be truthful with you guys. Here's my thoughts. I hate renting, but I like renting because I don't like dealing with the water pipe or whatever water thing going off.
Because we've had quite.
I like going to you and tell them, can you text the landlord and let them know that the shit ain't working and I ain't got to deal with it, and don't call me. And if the washing machine breaks or any of these things break, I don't want to deal with it.
You are notorious.
You handle it and take care of it and have them fix it, please.
You are notorious. Because I don't even think you know our landlord's name.
Nope.
I really don't.
I kind of do, actually, because I have to Zelle them the money.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason.
I have to Zelle them the money. They're nice people and stuff, but I just...
Oh, yeah, our landlords are great.
I hate renting. I'm not going to front. I don't like giving people money.
Well, then you wouldn't like buying either, babe, because then you got to give the bank the money.
I know. But either way, I like renting. So, guys, I'm conflicted. This is just the way I am. I would prefer, if we're going to buy, I prefer to get a multifamily where one person, one floor or another part of the house could be rented.
And I just, at this point in my life, I'm not living with nobody that...
If they paying half the rent, they are. Or half the mortgage, they are.
No, they literally would have to live in a separate unit, like somewhere in the backyard somewhere. And even that, I'm kind of like, no. At this point in my life, I don't want to live in a duplex with somebody in a house that I own.
And I would say that definitely where we live is a high cost of living, right? So one thing that folks who may be listening to this, they're like, if they're living in the Midwest or they're not living in a high cost of living place, they may say, just move to the next neighborhood. It's like, yo, slow down. You don't understand how it works in Jersey and stuff, right? Like, the difference is either you move to another neighborhood and you send your kids to Catholic school, which is a grip, right?
Yes.
Or you go into public school and you ain't got to pay you don't have to pay nothing. So that's why I'm like,
which you know what that means.
So y'all need to chill with that if you judging us, all right?
Like, because what's the grade on that one?
Because we had to go to, what do you call it? My parents had to, even though they had a house and they paid a mortgage, they still had to send us to Catholic school to get a good education. So don't front. If you don't understand New York and New Jersey or other high cost of living areas and how you can't just move to one neighborhood to another.
You really can't.
Stop fronting.
Really
don't judge us. But so for me, I think the key thing for us is we max out our 401ks, we max out our IRAs, we max out our HSAs, we save money like crazy, we put money into our brokerage accounts. For us, success looks different. Like the ability to be flexible
and
mobile looks different. And I think for me, I just prefer our money to be working in a different way than currently right now, which would be, than currently purchasing a house right now.
Yeah.
So I think once we get back from the sabbatical, that we're not sure exactly when it's going to happen.
That might change.
Eventually, I think we might get something.
That might change. Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, I think I'm ready, knowing that we've maxed out everything else, right? Like, so you just kind of ran down all the things that we maxed out, right? And so...
Been maxing out.
And I think that for me is kind of...
Is that present continuous?
What?
Is that present continuous or something like that?
I don't know. But I think that's the key for me. Because I think most people, their first investment
is the house.
Before they max out anything is actually their house. Like, you could ask people, do you have your own house?
That's their first and their largest investment.
Right. But you might ask them if they got a 401k or a 403b, and the answer might actually be no.
Either no, or they got money in there and it's not invested, possibly.
Right, and it's not invested, or it's not maxed.
Yeah.
It's not maxed. So I think for me, I like the fact that we kind of did it the opposite way, where the house, at least when we got married, that our first investment together as a married couple wasn't necessarily a house, and then everything else fell by the wayside, because that house could really eat into all of the other things, like your 401k, your or your IRA, your brokerage account, your everything else it could really eat into your ability to be able to invest for the future in other ways.
What was our first investment together? IVF treatment? Oh, that's another episode. Listen, y'all.
Burn.
Listen, text us at 833-230-2860. We're actually serious about that right now. We need your support, not your laughter. All right? Listen, I'm Dr. Nee. I'm joined by
Dr. Renee.
We want to know what your thoughts are on renting versus buying. Listen, if you're a resident, man, just stick to that rental life. Don't play around. Unless you know the neighborhood really well and you think that you may be able to get into a situation where you can do some house hacking with a multi-property type of thing. But listen, it's okay 10 years out for two docs like us to be renting,
right. And that's
particularly in a high cost of living area. And that's just the way how we think.
That's just
and that's the way we roll. And don't judge us, all right?
Yeah.
And if you live
no
in
shade on anybody.
And if you live in our neighborhood,
the opposite way.
If you live in our neighborhood and you watching this video, listen, come on guys, don't come for us. All right, we love you all. It's just I just got
cancel us, please.
I just got some commitment issues and stuff.
Cancel us.
I like you guys. Let's make it work. Catch you guys on the next one, y'all.
Deuces.
Peace. Alfred, what up? How you doing? We back and we ready.
We missed you, Alfred.
Alfred, did you miss us? He's quiet. He's not saying anything back. Alfred, talk to us.
You all right?